About to talk about a game that was very near and dear to my heart for a long time, and I know it's not this game that you're watching. It's actually another game called DC Universe Online, and there's another gentleman in the chat. His name is I Am Too Specialized, but he is going to goat me on. You're not going to be able to hear him. He's much like Snake Eyes and GI Joe. He's just there, and he just eggs it on. But he will sort of guide my thoughts in the conversation here. And basically what we started talking about before this broadcast was on was how DC Universe basically it just totally ruined an amazing experience and an amazing opportunity. The people who are in charge of the game, I should say. And there goes our Titan. Wow. Alright, well, you called the tail end of a really shitty joust match in Smite, so there you go. Those of you who don't know, DC Universe Online is an MMORPG created in 2011, January 2011. It was released on PlayStation and PC. Fast forward 6 years. It is now on PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox, I believe. I believe only the PlayStation and PC players can play together. I don't think the Xbox players can play with anyone else. But it is a game that myself and I Am Too Specialized, and a guy that you sometimes hear in this channel. Let me log out of this so I don't hit the music. I Am Too Specialized and I Am the Big One. Usually you hear on the channel too. We met in that game, and we love that game because we love DC. We love Superman. We love Batman. We love Wonder Woman. And it was a great property. It was a great idea. Unfortunately, they totally destroyed it. And in talking about it, I mean, basically it boils down to the fact that you're playing a game where you're a superhero and you don't feel super because of all the different restraints that they put on you when it comes to your powers and your abilities and your attacks. Come on, Dark. Goad me on. Come on, keep it. Let me. Come on, Snake Eyes. Like, it's hard to like put it into words just how. Oh yeah, the money grubbing. Yeah, I mean, it used to be a subscription-based game, which is perfectly fine. They wanted to make it WoW, basically the console version of WoW, and with a property like of DC Universe Online or DC Comics, it had the potential to destroy WoW. To be honest, I mean, you have what, like 70 years of content. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that it could, with that kind of backing, that kind of storylines that you could do. Hell, you can make DLC out of new stuff. DLC out of the Hush storyline. You can make DLC out of Long Halloween. You can make DLC out of the Dark Knight Returns, and it would be. It would be great, but they never did that. They just totally, I totally shat the bed, to be honest, and it's a shame. And I try not to curse too much, but in this case I am. I'm trying to look up. To see if I can find some information about Dead Meat, because he's, like I was saying before that we started the chat, that like there's three major reasons why DC Universe failed. There might even be four, but let me go through the three, and maybe there's a fourth one in there. I think the first major reason why it failed is because they let go, or is failing. Well, you know what? I'm going to say failed in my book, but it's probably in other people's books. It's still their go-to thing, but they let a lot of the people who originally created the game, in the sense of the mechanics of the game and the programming and the scripters go. after I think it was a year or so into the game. I had to do some more research on that, but most importantly, part of that cost cutting thing, a cost cutting sort of measure, was they released their creative director Dead Meat, who was really the guy in DC Universe that understood just what what the focus of the game was. He was, and I'm trying to find the dude's name. I forgot his name, and it's just escaping me. And every sort of record of him, I can't seem to find it. But anyway, yeah, he was a great sort of. He was very down to earth. He was calm. He was even keeled. But he just didn't last there. And his sort of release was around the time which is sort of comes into the second reason why I think that sort of destroyed the game, was came around the time when the game went free to play. And when you do that, when you turn a game from a subscription-based game to a free-to-play game, even though they kept the subscription service, so it was sort of like a hybrid, which didn't make any sense, you kind of turned it into a cash grab, which is what Snake Eye said, that you can't hear. Cash grab. That basically turns the game into microtransactions, and if you remember the wonderful episode of South Park which talks about the Canadian Devil, microtransactions are bad. And their focus kept going from, they added replay badges, which gives you the ability to replay content that would normally be locked on a weekly basis, and you would have to pay money for that. They gave you respect tokens, or power respect tokens, which will let you to change your character's power at a whim, and that costs money. And mind you, I'm guilty of buying those things. I will freely admit that I'm guilty of buying those things, and I've done them, and I've had a subscription. I probably still have a subscription if I, maybe, I gotta look. Probably do. That's because I really wanted to believe in the game. I wanted to believe in the possibility of the game turning around. I don't think it can or will turn around unless something major happens. The third reason, and Lord forgive me for putting someone on blast, but Jens Anderson became the creative director when Dead Meat left. Jens Anderson, God bless him. The term "lovable doofus" comes up into mind. I mean, I want to, maybe not lovable doofus. He reminds me of Hodor on Game of Thrones. I mean, he's big and he's hulking and he has a presence, but when he opens his mouth, he can only says the one thing, and it's Hodor. Hodor! Over and over again. Because it seems to be that with Jens, when he was in charge, the crux of what happened in the game, or the crux of his focus of the game, was PvP. How can we make the game more enjoyable for those free-to-players that pop in and every so often and do PvP? They nerf powers based on PvP feedback. They created content which was broken for a very long time based on the need of making a PvP-based DLC. And because of it, it caused a lot of imbalance, caused probably entire of the imbalance of the game, where you listen to people who are just there for one thing, who generate these sort of padding of numbers that are people that are online at one time, as opposed to making the game an enjoyable experience for everyone. Now, oh my God, this is going to go down such a far rabbit hole. Thank you for starting this, Dark. I'm going to tell you right now. What's the problem of focusing or changing things in a game based on player versus player content as opposed to a general thing? Well, I'm glad you asked, random viewer. If you base your abilities or your ability to generate damage on PvP, let's say there's a flavor of the month. Let's say, for example, the Green Lantern powers in the game, the light powers, let's say, for for the heroes. Mind you, there are heroes and villains, factions, and different mentors for each faction, but basically all the powers are available for everyone. If there was too much damage being created by people who use the light powers in PvP, they would then nerf the light powers because of it, because people would complain on their forums, and thus they would say, oh, I'm not going to play your game anymore. They would nerf the power, nerf meaning they would make it harder for the power to do the same amount of damage, and thus appease the people. The problem is then the people who are light powers, who then just play the PvE content, which is basically player versus environment, where you do raids or alerts or duos, where you're not fighting other people, are then crippled in their ability to do damage and complete the content. Here comes the cash grab. They then don't want to be that power anymore, so they then go and choose the wonderful respect token that they can buy now in the marketplace for $9.99 or however much it is, change their power to the power that does do damage, and then be that power. Then that power, let's say that power is fire, which is another power that's in the game. Everyone changes to fire because light doesn't do the damage. Fire becomes the power that's you see mostly in PvP. People are getting upset that fire is overpowered because more people are using it, more damage is being done. They complain about fire. Fire gets nerfed, and then the cycle begins again. That happened for years upon years upon years in that game. That's a horrible way to sort of maintain, a structure in a game where people need, some people like myself and Snake Eyes, and you're going to be Snake Eyes from now on. Some people like who don't want to play PvP. I hardly played PvP. I would force myself to do it just because there was things in there called feat points, which would help make your character stronger for everything. So I would grin and bear it for a while and do the ones that I could sort of deal with, and then get the points that I need just to make my character stronger for other things. So, I mean, I've kind of been talking about this for years. I never put it on record or recorded it. This probably sounds like the ramblings of a madman in the middle of the night, but it's actually it actually is that, the ramblings of a madman in the middle of the night. So I'm not dressing it up as anything else. And it's really sad. It's really sad because DC Universe, I grew up, the first thing I remember ever buying as a kid, after I did some sort of chore, I can't remember what the chore was. It was probably some sort of cleaning around the house. I went and I bought a Green Lantern figure because it had a Green Lantern ring in it, and I used to wear this Green Lantern ring religiously. I would wear it everywhere I would go. I was probably 6 or 7. And then the saddest day of my young childhood, besides having a Robin figure that broke and not having it anymore and had to go and buy it again, was that the day the Green Lantern ring, I outgrew the Green Lantern ring and I couldn't wear it anymore. That's how deeply ingrained I am in comic books and DC. So just to get a sense of that. So when this game came out, I mean, I was gung-ho for it. I went all in. And to see it evolve, not, the 2011 PlayStation hack aside, that's beyond their scope. That's beyond their power. They couldn't help that. That's life. And that's beyond them. But the things that they could help with this game, they just stumbled and failed miserably. And it just keeps going. And there are people who are diehards that'll support it, and that's good for them. But it was a sad day when I finally deleted that game from my PlayStation, and I just totally put it back, and I pushed it away, and I just don't even consider it anymore. Because we used to be on that game. myself and Snake Eyes and I'm the Big One and JJL Texas that you may hear on this channel. We used to play that game all the time. That's where we all met. That's where we, did our thing. That's where we created our quote-unquote clan, which you might see as GBR, Gaming, Glitch Beyond Repair Gaming. But, there's only so much time and effort you can put into, repairing a sinking ship. And you can't really help that. I'm probably going to talk about this more when it's not a what time is it? Almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Rambling on like an idiot. But I think there might come a day where I'll put this. I might just do a video. I might just see if I have any save videos on my PlayStation to sort of add it to it and sort of do a bullet point. If I can put my points, my thoughts together, and do a more comprehensive video. But this sort of just popped up at the moment. I wanted to put it on record. I'm sure there'll be other times when I'll talk about it and maybe even more comprehensively. But yeah, that's why if you notice on the channel too, I jumped over to Marvel Heroes Omega. It's not the same thing. I do love Marvel too. It's a different superhero game, but at least in that game, I feel like I'm a superhero. I may not be my own superhero like in DC, where you can create your hero from scratch, design their costume, their name, who their mentor is, but it still sort of fills the gap and sort of, scratches the itch, so to say. Yeah, Snake Eye says exactly. All right, so yeah, I mean this is you staring at a login screen. If you've listened to this so far, God bless you. You are truly a gentleman or a gentlewoman and scholar. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go back to playing Smite. I owe you some Blade footage, which I will upload soon. I am bad at that. I apologize. But I have it on the PlayStation. I'm just figuring out if I'm just going to put it up there or actually make a little special presentation for it with some voiceover and stuff. So, anyway, that's DC Universe. Questions, comments, criticisms, you have the comment section below. Tweet at me at WarthogNYC. The Twitch channel is twitch.tv/WarthogNYC. All videos from there get saved on YouTube, bit.ly/WarthogNYC. I know that's a lot to take in, but on the Twitch channel, it's all there. I'm going to put it on the YouTube channel as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take pity on an old man and his ramblings in the middle of the night, but there is some truth to his nonsense. Take care, and as always, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes.